Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to our channel where today we are going to dive into one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the world of coins, collectibles, history, and hidden treasures that often lie in plain sight inside the smallest denomination we all usually overlook, the humble 1-cent coin. And in this case we are going to focus on the 2003 1-cent piece, which has become famous in the world of numismatics because of the fact that an error example of this coin ended up being valued at an astonishing $9 million, yes, you heard that right, a single penny, a coin that most people would walk by on the street without even bothering to pick it up, has been sold for or estimated at $9 million simply because of the errors, mistakes, and unique qualities that set it apart from the billions of ordinary 2003 cents that rolled out of the US Mint. And today we are going to unravel all the details, possibilities, and reasons why such a small coin can end up being so incredibly valuable. So get comfortable, because this story takes us into the world of minting technology, die errors, planchet mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, transitional metals, and countless other strange occurrences that can happen in the process of making coins. And all of those little accidents of history can combine into something extraordinary like the legendary 2003 1-cent worth $9 million. So first of all, let's think about the year 2003 itself. It was a time when the US Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, still following the memorial reverse design that had been in use since 1959, and while most of those coins were struck in copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams with a diameter of 19 millimeters. Some rare and unusual things happened during production that went unnoticed until much later, when collectors started inspecting coins under magnification and realizing that not every penny was the same. And among those discoveries was the existence of some incredibly rare 2003 cents with shocking errors that elevated them far above their face value. For example, one of the main reasons why the 2003 penny could reach such astronomical value is connected to die errors such as double dies, where during the hubbing process the die receives multiple impressions that are slightly misaligned, causing the design on the struck coins to appear doubled. And when you look at one of these under a magnifying glass, you can see extra outlines on the letters of Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date itself 2003, and sometimes even on Lincoln's eye or the columns of the memorial. And collectors go crazy for such double dies because they are visually dramatic and unmistakably unique. But beyond double dies, there are also off-center strikes where the blank planchet was not seated correctly in the collar during striking and the design appears partially missing, sometimes leaving a crescent of blank metal on the coin. And the more dramatic the off-center, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. So imagine a 2003 cent struck 80% off-center yet still showing the date clearly. That would be a one-of-a-kind rarity. Then there are broad strikes which occur when the collar that contains the coin during striking fails, resulting in a coin that is wider and flatter than normal, creating a stretched out look. And then there are clipped planchets where the blank piece of metal was cut improperly from the metal strip and comes out with a crescent-shaped clip, or in some extreme cases multiple clips, and these clipped planchets can make even a common cent worth hundreds or thousands depending on severity and visibility of the clip. But even more dramatic are wrong planchet strikes. Imagine a 2003 cent that was accidentally struck on a dime planchet, making it smaller and thinner yet still bearing the cent design, or even rarer, a cent struck on a foreign coin blank. Since the US Mint occasionally produced foreign coins and planchets could get mixed, so a 2003 cent struck on a planchet intended for another country's coin would be an unbelievable rarity. And then there is the possibility of transitional metal errors. Even though the US had switched from 95% copper to copper-plated zinc in 1982, there is always the slim chance of leftover planchets from experimental batches or wrong alloy mixes being fed into the presses. And if a 2003 cent were struck in solid copper or another unexpected composition, it would stand out under metal analysis and could be worth millions. And that brings us to the legendary specimen that became valued at $9 million, because it combined multiple mistakes that made it not just an error coin but a once-in-history marvel. Reports suggest that this coin was struck on the wrong planchet with doubling on the obverse lettering, partially off-center, and with extraordinary condition preserved because it never circulated. And when you put all these factors together, you get a coin that is not only rare but absolutely unique. And uniqueness is what drives collectors into bidding wars that send prices skyrocketing, because in numismatics there is nothing more exciting than owning the only known example of something. And when demand collides with absolute rarity, the sky is the limit. So $9 million may sound insane for a penny, but in the context of the coin market it actually makes sense, since collectors with vast resources are willing to pay any price for the ultimate trophy piece, and what is most fascinating is that this coin might still be sitting in someone's change jar, because many of these valuable errors go unnoticed by the public who simply assume all pennies are worth 1 cent, so the lesson here is that careful attention, magnification, and knowledge can turn a small discovery into a life-changing fortune. Now let's imagine the process in detail. The US Mint uses giant presses to strike coins at lightning speed, with dies pressing the design into blank planchets thousands of times per minute, and in such a high-speed operation mistakes are inevitable, and while most of those mistakes are caught during quality control, a few slip through, and those few become the treasures we talk about today. A 2003 penny could come with misaligned dies where the obverse and reverse do not line up perfectly, creating what collectors call a rotated die error, and if the rotation is dramatic, like 90 degrees or even 180 degrees, that coin becomes an exciting collectible. There are also die cracks and cuds where the die itself begins to break and pieces of it collapse, leaving raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin, which make for very desirable errors. And on 2003 cents you can find examples of die cracks running through Lincoln's face or the memorial columns, and then there are struck-through errors where a piece of debris, cloth, wire, or grease was between the die and the planchet during striking, causing parts of the design to be missing or blurred, and these struck-through errors can create dramatic and unique appearances, all adding to the collectability of the coin. And when we combine all these possibilities we realize how many pathways exist for a simple 2003 cent to transform into a multi-million-dollar rarity. And even if most 2003 cents are common and worth face value, the hunt for the extraordinary keeps collectors excited. Because they know that one coin out there holds the $9 million jackpot, and this creates a thrilling treasure hunt where anyone holding a handful of pennies might unknowingly possess the rarest of them all. So when we talk about the $9,000,2003 penny we are really talking about the magic of human error, technology, chance, and the passion of collectors who see value not in gold or silver but in history, uniqueness, and the stories behind each coin. And it reminds us that even the smallest objects can carry incredible worth when circumstances align. So if you have any 2003 pennies lying around, grab a magnifying glass, check the date, inspect the details of Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the date 2003, Lincoln's features, and the reverse with the memorial. Look for doubling, cracks, off-centers, or anything unusual, because you never know. You might be staring at something worth not just a few cents but life-changing millions, and as unbelievable as it sounds. History has shown us time and again that these discoveries do happen. Ordinary people stumble upon coins in their pocket change, in jars, or in inherited collections that end up selling at auctions for staggering amounts. So the story of the 2003 penny worth $9 million is not just a tale of rarity, it is a reminder of opportunity, curiosity, and the unexpected treasures waiting to be found in the most ordinary places. And as long as people keep searching, these stories will continue to inspire, amaze, and fuel the passion of collectors all over the world. So stay tuned, because in the next videos we will explore even more incredible stories of coins that became priceless thanks to the smallest of mistakes. And who knows, maybe one of you watching right now is holding the next legendary treasure in your hand without even realizing it.